Hey YouTube, I'm here to talk about Queen Sugar. This is season 2, episode 9. So they're restarting. So many of these shows have breaks in them now, so I get confused. So this is a continuation episode in season 2. All right, so they're picking it up on episode 9, and I think there's a part 2. Pretty sure there's a part 2 that airs tonight. So I'll be back. This episode opens with Ralph Angel and his girl Darla walking and talking, discussing independent film. Apparently they haven't seen a film together in years. And so I'm not sure if this is exactly when he proposes to her, but they're going to get married. We'll see. I'll come back to that. All right. Charlie sees Davis in her story. Charlie's in her loft. I think it's a beautiful loft. Not everyone agrees with me, but she turns on her computer and up pops the story of Davis. Looks like it was a television story broadcast on YouTube, so the rest of the world was getting it as well. The story about her and Davis breaking up is now public. She catches it online. Okay. Let's move on to Nova and Dr. Dubois. Dr. Dubois, okay, he gives her a little box, when a man gives a woman a little small box, is usually some kind of piece of jewelry, right? She assumes that is, and I assume that her hesitation about picking up the box is thinking, oh, it's way too early for this, honey. Because I'm pretty sure he's looking for a wife, and she's not ready for that. So she opens the box, and it's some kind of little fossil thing. What is that like amber colored stuff that they freeze fossils in? It's a perfect sphere. It's a ball, but it's got maybe that's the Ezekiel thing that carries the Ezekiel. Because they're talking about the Ezekiel virus and how it affects places that have been through Hurricane Katrina. Okay. Nova wants to do a story about the Ezekiel, and many of the community people are resisting her writing the story because they feel like he's blowing up something that doesn't need to be blown up. It'll just make people afraid to come there. So, so Dr. Dubois is still in the picture. That's her boy. They end up making out in this scene. I advise that the hairstylist body she don't have much edges. Her hairline starts way in the back, but this hairstylist is noticing that some of her hair is falling out. Someone who's familiar with her head, I advise say it's no big deal. But we're getting hints, and the hints started when it was on earlier this year that something was wrong with Aunt Vi. Okay, so her hair is falling out, and she's in a little bit of denial about it. Next thing we hear is Charlie's mother. Now I guess this right off the top that Charlie's mother was white, because that end of the family is so light skinned, and then the Bordelons are so dark skinned. Well, her mother calls and informs her that she is in town. It seems that Charlie would have much rather had a little more time for preparation for her mother. They're not particularly close, I get the impression. But she's here. Let me see. What is it? Okay, so they meet up in this fancy restaurant in New Orleans. I am happy. One thing they did that I like already about the season, they actually showed us some of New Orleans. I thought we were looking at a picture of Paris or somewhere in Europe. The city is so beautiful. I mean, the quaintness of the city and those beautiful old buildings and the Victorians. I think Charlie and Remy are walking in New Orleans. They should show more of that, because we don't get the sense of where they're at exactly, because most things are taken inside the house or on the farm or in the mill. But that's a beautiful town. Okay. Nova wants, okay. Okay, Nova decides she wants to do an article on this Ezekiel. I just mentioned that. She does go through with the article. There's a lady there who is, I don't know. I'm not clear about what this other lady's role is in Ezekiel, but she has. I don't know if she's for or against her telling the story. I wasn't paying close attention at that particular moment. Forgive me. I'm sorry. All right, but she wants to write the story about the Ezekiel. Apparently, there have only been 20 cases in the whole state of this Ezekiel virus, but so they don't know how concerned they should be, is what a lot of the community people feel, and I don't think Nova's even very clear about how concerned she should be. But her and Dr. Dubois are going to work on this Ezekiel. Nova does write the story. I'll get back to them in a minute. Hollywood is working as a supervisor. He's working a temporary job as a supervisor for this company, which is right there in that area, New Orleans area. Usually he works, he goes out. I don't need these things on these rigs and works, but this, I don't know if it's the same company, but it's right in town. They offer him a full-time position to keep that job. He's been doing a good job. He was the supervisor in that position, but he says he has to think about it, right? So he's got to run this by Vi. So this whole thing is about their relationship. That's why he stopped working the rigs, because he wanted to be there with her. Okay, so okay, so this is kind of cute. Okay, Ralph and Darla tell their son, Blue, 6-year-old Blue, that they are getting married. He's so happy. You're going to be together all the time. It's like a regular family. So that was a sweet scene. He's very excited about it, the kid. Charlie mothers, okay. Charlie. Do any mothers and daughters and fathers and sons get along? There's always issues, aren't there, in family? Anyway, Charlie's mother, she's a kind of we know she's a white person, but that didn't necessarily mean you're going to be a bougie type woman. But she's kind of a fancy lady. She's just coming off this thing of traveling with these people. That's why she wasn't there for her ex-husband's funeral to support her daughter, Charlie, because she was out traveling the world. Now, she's kind of a fancy lady. You can tell by the upturned collars. They're the only ones that still upturn the collars. She comes to Charlie's loft, and she has got so many opinions. She tells Charlie that you are competing with Davis now. And she said, I'm not competing with him. What do you mean? Yes, you are. Where is he going to want to spend his time? With Davis? Because Davis is a rich man. Or here? She didn't like the loft. Loft is gorgeous. Anyway, so they're showing us that the mother is very bossy. I think they intimated that last season, or the first part of this season, that the mother is very demanding, very bossy, and she's a perfectionist. So she says, okay, if you have to stay here in this place, she didn't say this dump, this place, the least I can do is redecorate. She got that designer spirit. Now, I know that spirit very well. So she's going to make it in her image. All right. So far, there hasn't been any love shown between mother and daughter there. But not hatred either. Charlie just seems to be kind of neutral about her. Just recognizing that she is a very opinionated woman. Anvi shows some other indication that something's not quite right with her. There's a delivery person there at the restaurant. He wants her to sign for something that she's received, and she kind of she can't really see where the spot is, where she's supposed to sign. She said, tell me again where you want me to sign. So they're indicating that something is wrong with Aunt Vi. Is the second indication in this episode. All right, so it's going to climax with her story, so we'll get back there. All right, Davis tells Micah. Okay, so Micah, in the early part of this year, before in this half season kind of thing, Micah, I think it was in the climax or the finale of this break, right before this break, Micah told his father the whole story about what happened to him, about this cop, this racist cop, terrorizing him and being jealous of him for driving this fancy sports car, taking him somewhere and threatening him, and then putting a gun in his mouth and pulling the trigger. This kid was traumatized by that. He told his father, but the mother does not know. So now Davis is telling Micah that he wants to tell his mother. And of course, Micah said, no, don't tell her that. He's used to bringing her good news. Like Evelyn used to say in The Wiz, don't nobody bring me no bad news. Of course, it's all in love. And her reaction is predictable. She wants action taken against this cop. Now, Charlie's used to getting what she wants. So she's depressed now. Nova can pick up that something's wrong with her, something's going on with her. They're discussing something else, and she tells her. Charlie tells Nova about what happened to Micah. And now Nova is involved. Now you know that is about to come to a head. They're about to expose and get rid of that cop. But, yeah, so we just see that she's telling Nova. Fade to black on that. But that's going to be a primary thing I believe, for the rest of the season. All right. Next thing, Charlie's mother meets Remy. And surprisingly, usually the mother don't like whoever, for drama's sake, doesn't like the person initially. But she likes Remy. She locks arms with him and he shows her around the meal and all this. Remember, she likes black men. Stop. I don't see anything particularly wrong with this woman. People, not particularly. I mean, she's just a mother, bougie type mother, But apparently her and Vi don't get along at all. So they've fallen out in the past. This episode, we don't see their interaction. But Vi does not like that woman, and the woman does not like her. So when the mother left, she was married to her brother now. Maybe it's a race thing. Who knows? But she said she would never come back there, and now here she is. All right. Okay, so next thing is Aunt Vi seems a bit hesitant when Ralph Angel and Darla come and tell her their plans to get married. She's up on some steps. Hollywood is immediately let me try to get this word. Congratulatory. He hugs him. That's what it means. Hollywood is immediately. He's always been down for those two. And he's been a friend to Darla when no one else was being a friend to her. So he believes in them. He hugs them, but there's definite hesitation on Aunt Vi's part. She comes down off of her ladder, and then she seems to accept it and break down. Because the girl she's doing what she has to do. She's 2 years clean. And Aunt Vi, it doesn't come off like a phony hug or anything. It's like she really said, this is a good thing. So Aunt Vi throws them a surprise party, in fact, at her restaurant, the restaurant where she manages. So it's very nice. Everybody's all happy for them. Yeah. I mean, it's best they get married. They have a son together. I have to try to remember all the things that irritated me about Ralph Angel last season. He loves her, though. So that's going to be fine. Okay. Only down part about this is after she says something, hugs them and congratulates them, She says, "Oh, I'm so happy, and I can't wait to meet your family." And Darla goes, she goes numb. So there's issues with Darla and her family, as to be expected with anybody who's been on drugs. Generally, we burn through family, so they're not initially warm. But it's been 2 damn years now. So a little later on, we see Darla calling her parents and crying. I think she's talking to a machine, because she calls them. She says hi. She's talking to her mother and father at the same time. So it's probably just a message she's leaving. She's telling them that she's getting married to Blue's father. Yeah, but she's tearful. So we get another drama this season. Okay, I've already said that Charlie's mother and Vi don't get along. We don't get to see them go at it quite yet. But remember now, part 2 of this comes on tonight. This part came on last night, which I actually didn't catch it. I just, YouTube made me aware that it was even back on. I almost missed it. And then tonight, they're playing part 2 of this. Okay? So remember that. Tonight, OWN. I believe the new episode is at 10 o'clock. Okay, so. Okay. I think I already said that Charlie told Nova what's happening with Micah, right? So we expect a big, huge blow up with Nova, but we don't get that scene. Not yet. We don't get that scene. The next thing we see is that Charlie confides in her mother. Now we get to see some intimacy between mother and daughter. So they don't hate each other. They have mother and daughter type issues, right? Apparently, the mother, she's kind of bougie, but she sent Charlie away to boarding schools, and she says that because she was a black woman living in a white world, she needed the best education possible. So, and she doesn't. It's not saying it in a snide way. So the scene is Charlie is laying in her mother's lap, telling her about what happened with Micah. Right, and Charlie's feeling guilty, like she should have known, and she's explaining how you couldn't have known, something like that. So there's intimacy between these two, between mother and daughter. And mother, she's likable. Like I said, she's a likable woman. You know, nobody's perfect. She didn't do the perfect job, but there's definitely love between them. Okay. So they have an intimate moment. Fade to black. That was the end of part 1. Part 2 is tonight. So I'll be back.